Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now I just wanted to record a little intro for this video because originally when I started recording it, I had planned for it to be a like a vlog style day in the life type video. I really love watching those and I thought maybe people would be interested to see what my life is structured like, obviously with my health being a priority, how I juggle that being like a busy working mum, having lots of things on my to-do list like I know many of you do as well. However, I recorded some of my day and a big chunk of my day was like going and getting my food shop and then talking you guys through what I plan for my meals and what I bought in my food shop and why, which I thought maybe lots of you would be interested in. I always get these kind of questions on social media. Lots of my clients ask me about my choices with food as well. So I thought this would be a good part of the video. However, I got so into the whole food shop thing that it ended up being about 20 minutes long. And I thought this is just going to be such a long video for people to watch, which I don't know whether I have made enough videos yet for you to want to watch me for that long. So I decided to just do this as like its own video. So basically what you're going to watch today is me going through my food shop, telling you what I've planned for the week, how I've planned it, different foods that I buy regularly and why, which will hopefully give you some ideas for what you could add to your shopping list. And yeah, I just want to give you some realistic tips for how I eat a healthy, balanced diet as part of my busy lifestyle, which hopefully will be very applicable to you and yours as well. So I hope you enjoy this video. And yeah, if you did enjoy this style of video, then let me know. Or if you would like to see a day in the life type vlog, let me know and in the comments and I will add that to my list because I want to create more content that you guys want to watch. Thank you for watching anyway. I really hope you enjoy this video and I will see you guys soon. I have just done a food shop and I have put it all out on the island for you so that I can kind of just chat through what I bought, what my thought process is with shopping, and maybe just give you some tips that maybe will help you with your food shop and you know, some meal ideas even. I hope to do more videos about like meal ideas and things in future, but I thought this would be a good place to start. And I quite like watching these videos from other people, you know, what they've got in their food shop, what meals they're having, what they do with their food shop. What I actually do as often as I can is a click and collect. So our local supermarket is Tesco. It's really easy to do click and collect on my phone in the evening quite quickly. Obviously, I think this works with all supermarkets, but once you've ordered, once you've done a food shop, it just does keep a list of like past items that you've ordered. So in terms of like ease and how quick you can do your food shop, it's really, really easy. I do also find with online shopping, you're just way less likely to deviate from your shopping list and see stuff that you weren't necessarily planning on getting. So from a budget point of view, I actually do prefer it. Like, I'm going to be totally honest, I'm not always organised enough to get a food shop done online, but when I am, I'm really proud of myself. And today, I tend to use click and collect because one, it's really, really cheap. I think I paid £1 for the click and collect. And two, I can actually kind of fit it into my day on a Thursday or Friday because my working hours are a little bit different around childcare for my son. So I actually booked that in for lunchtime. I went and got the click and collect, then picked my son up, and now I've come home. He's having a nap, which he's 2.5 or he's nearly 3 actually. I don't know how long the naps are going to last, but I will take them while they're here. So now I'm going to just unpack the food shop, sort the house out while he's sleeping, and do this video. So just to talk through a few things that I have got in my food shop this week. Now one, I'm going to go over here, always get a really good amount of yogurts, although I'm annoyed with myself to this week, but you know, this is just showing more of my reality. I always get high protein yogurt, right? So this is like a Danone Skyr. I also like Arla Skyr, I like the Farhe yogurt. They are naturally high in protein. I really like them. They're just plain natural yogurt, they're quite thick. A really good staple to have in the house, in the fridge for like breakfast and things. I also really like these. They are Arla protein small yogurt pots, and they come with different flavours like blueberry, strawberry, raspberry, passion fruit. They always do an offer pretty much in Tesco where it's 4 for £3. And I pretty much always get 4 for £3. Today, well, on the online shop, and maybe this is something that I've done too quickly and I haven't double checked what I've bought. I only must have clicked 2, so that's annoying because I didn't get the offer and I would have just paid full price for 2. So hopefully I'll pick a few more of these up in the next few days, but I generally get at least 4 of these smaller yogurts. 20 grams of protein per yogurt pot, so they're great for like breakfast or as a snack, or I quite like them as a pudding in the evening, and you get extra serving of protein from those as well. So get my yogurts. I also tend to get like a whole milk, that's more for my son to be honest, and I really like oat milk, and my husband does, especially on things like cereal, so we do like a bit of oat milk. I tend to also get skimmed milk for my tea, but we've already got some in the fridge, so I haven't got that this time. Let's stick with fridge food. I always get a bag of baby bells, the blue ones for me and my husband, the red ones for my son. The only difference is these are Baby Bell Light. They're a little bit lower in fat, and I find that I'm consuming enough fat through my food and cooking the rest of the day, so actually if I can have a slightly lower fat cheese, then that's handy. And we really like these because again, they're a good little protein snack. One of the Baby Bell Lights is 5 grams in protein, so if my lunch is a little bit lower on protein, I will get a Baby Bell Light or 2 because that will add an extra 10 grams. I really like these, and like my son, if anyone's got young kids around here, maybe you're weaning and stuff, I honestly got my son onto Baby Bells quite young. It's a really good, like, small child-friendly snack. I've actually seen child nutritionists online recommend them as a kid's snack. High in protein, some healthy fats, really easy to take out with you. So I do like getting some Baby Bell if we can. Other things for the fridge, I've got some like other protein sources, so meat and fish. I really like the Gym Kitchen brand. I'll talk about their ready meals in a second, but high protein chicken sausages. So we'll have sausage and mash on the weekend, and actually chicken sausages is quite good. Chicken sausages are quite good if you don't want to have such a high calorie meal. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having pork sausages, it's just they are higher in calories. So if you know that you're staying in a calorie deficit, or you're just being mindful of what your calories are at the moment and you want to save a few, chicken sausages are a really good swap. But I really like these ones as well, they're really nice. I'd never swap a food for a lower calorie food unless I thought it was nice. And also it's not always about the calories, it's also about the quality of the food. I really like these, and I really rate the Gym Kitchen brand as far as my experience anyway. So yeah, I really like these. We've also got some fish. I actually bought some chunky breaded fish fingers. This is for like a Friday night tea. And this is what I mean about being a realistic person within the health and fitness industry, because I'm busy. I don't always want to cook from scratch. In an ideal world, yes, I'd cook nutritionist quality meals from scratch for my family every single week, but that's just not my reality. I know it's not a lot of your realities either. So sometimes convenience food is going to be in my diet. I've got a few convenience options that I'm going to show you as well. But yeah, some fish fingers that I'm going to have with some potato wedges, some peas and beans. I'm still going to get some veggies in. I'm still going to be like have a nice calorie controlled meal. I've got some protein from the fish fingers. We'll all be happy with those. Sometimes convenience is going to win. And talking of convenience, I also, and I've talked about these quite a bit on Instagram, I really like the Gym Kitchen ready meals. Now I've actually only got one for myself this week because my husband's working away next week. There's one evening where I'm going to be really busy and I know I just won't have time to cook, so I got myself a ready meal. Look around for different ready meal brands and try them and see what you think. I really like the Gym Kitchen ones. We've tried a few of them now and I think they're tasty, the ingredients are good, there's not loads of additives in them. Ready meals really have come a long way. If you think, oh, she has ready meals, or I'd never eat a ready meal, that used to be me. Actually, there's loads of really decent ready meals now with good ingredients, high fibre, high protein, not loads of additives. They're easy to cook, they're tasty, they taste good. Like I said, I would never eat something quote unquote healthy or low cal if it didn't taste good, because still having nice tasting food is important to me. But I really like these Gym Kitchen ready meals, so I do have one of those for one day next week. Me and my husband will have one or two of these in the week quite often, especially if it's a busy week and we just know our days are going to be quite long. There's not going to be that much time for us to spend in the kitchen. We just don't have the capacity to prep a massive meal or prep loads of food. Having one or two of these in the freezer every week is really, really handy. So I've gone for the Gym Kitchen chicken korma this time, so I'll update you as to what that's like. Other things that I've got then, I've got like fresh vegetables. I always tend to get a selection of green veg. I think one of the nights I'm having some hake and I'll do some rice and some vegetables with that, so I thought, well, I could do some broccoli. I've also bought some green beans and I've bought some pak choy. I love a bit of pak choy. And one of the things I love buying from Tesco, which I really recommend if that's your go-to supermarket as well, is the lazy ramen. So they do this Itsu lazy ramen as a deal, like a meal deal type thing. I actually don't make use of the meal deal because I just like the broth and the noodles. If you get, as part of the meal deal, you can get some gyoza, but I'm just not that bothered about gyoza, to be honest. And I also want some high protein food with, I want like a bigger protein source with my ramen. So I've actually bought some chicken thighs, which I'll cook in the air fryer, and then I'll just make an easy ramen. So it's so easy because the noodles take hardly any time to cook, you just put them in the broth. The broth is there ready to go. I've actually made ramen from scratch before and it was fine, but this tastes better, I'm going to be honest. And obviously this, you just pour it into a saucepan and heat it up. Then you've got your noodles and then you just add whatever veggies you want. So I do like pak choy. I also tend to do a bit of grated carrot, sometimes mushrooms, and then I'll put my chicken on top. So that is a super, in fact, I think we're having this for dinner tonight. Super, super easy. Really nice meal to have at home in the week. Other things I have planned, and actually just to touch on like how I plan my meals during the week. What I tend to do, I've got a whiteboard over here. It's very messy at the moment and the food plan is really small, but I will write that out and I'll show you in another video. But I tend to have a grid that's like Monday to Sunday, dinners, lunches, and I'll plan an evening meal for every day of the week. I mean, it really doesn't matter if we chop and change what days we have which meal. The point is, I've planned 7 meals. I've got food for 7 meals and these ingredients. That helps me so much with not eating last minute things which don't really fit my goals. Getting to a point when I'm really hungry and then I'm raiding the cupboards, and that's when I'm probably going to eat things which again don't align with my goals, or I'm going to eat more than I intended to, or I'm just not going to eat as good nutritious meals. If I've planned it out pre-food shop, then I do my food shop. I know then now today's Thursday as I record this video, which is when I tend to do my food shop. Between today and next Wednesday, I've got all my meals sorted. So there might be a few things that I've forgotten, like the yogurts, and thinking about it now, there's a couple of other bits I'd like to add. But for the most part, I know I've got meals sorted. For lunches, I do try to be a little bit more, well, not less prepared. I try to just have things in mind that I'm going to have. So for example, I know that when I cook the chicken thigh, there's going to be loads left over. So I'm probably going to freeze some of that chicken thigh. And then on Sunday, I'll cook up that chicken thigh. I'm probably going to cook some rice and veggies, which is exactly what I did this week. And I'm just going to have 2 to 3 days of rice and veggies in the fridge. That's if I hopefully have time on Sunday, which I think I will this weekend because we've got a quiet one. However, I always make sure, and this is actually highlighting something I've forgotten, that I have things in the cupboard like tuna and eggs and mackerel. So basically some tinned fish, so tinned protein sources, and some eggs. And then I know I've got bread here, but I also have some bagels in the freezer. And then on the days that I haven't prepped a meal, I can have eggs on toast, I can have a tuna sandwich. Today for my lunch, actually, I had a tuna on some leftover jacket potatoes that we had, and I also finished half a tin of beans that was in the fridge. So it wasn't like as nice as my prep chicken and veg that I had earlier in the week, but I still got in some good protein, I got in some good carbohydrates, some good fibre, and I'm going to help myself to a piece of fruit in a minute as an afternoon snack. So I feel like I'm getting a good rounded amount of food variety into my day still. So yeah, even on the days where I don't have a prepped lunch, I'll have food in the cupboards and the fridge, which means I can grab a quick healthy lunch at the same time. So yeah, that kind of covers the main bulk of food. Other things I just wanted to highlight, and I won't make this section too long because you might be thinking, I'm not that interested about your food shop. But things that I have that you might not be expecting. A personal trainer is someone that, like, I'm a qualified nutritionist, I've learned a lot about food, I've worked a lot on my own relationship with food over the years. You might not think that I would promote these things, but I definitely will. So, having chocolate in your house, that is something that is really important to me and my husband. We both have a sweet tooth, but we know we've been in that position where we've deprived ourselves of it. We thought, no, we're eating quote unquote clean. I hate that phrase, by the way. I should definitely record some content on that, but we're eating healthily and we're not having any junk food. That's essentially what people mean by eating clean, isn't it? Is that they're cutting out all the quote unquote bad stuff. I don't believe in good or bad food. I believe in everything in moderation is what is part of a healthy, balanced diet, because that's how you are able to sustain what you're eating. You may relate to this. If you've cut out chocolate before, which I definitely have, you get to the point where you think, I really want some chocolate, and when you do have it, you're more likely to overeat on it. Whereas actually what we now do as a practice habit is we have these small dairy milk bars in the fridge. There's 7 bars in this packet. They're about 145 calories each. So in the evening, that is a really nice small portion of chocolate. And I'm not saying 4 pieces feels like enough. Like after I've had my 4 pieces of dairy milk, I definitely want some more. But there is a barrier to getting more in the fact that these are all individually wrapped bars. To get another bar, I have to tell myself, you've got to go in the cupboard, you've got to get another bar out, you've got to unwrap another bar, and I have to make that choice to have a double portion of chocolate. Whereas if I had, I'm less likely to do that basically compared to if we had a big family sharing size bar of dairy milk and I snapped off a few squares. It's so much easier to go and snap off another square and completely lose track of how much you're having. At least if I did have 2 bars of this, and I'm not saying that hasn't ever happened, it happens now and again, but I know I've had like 300 calories of chocolate that day, so at least I'm aware. And the whole thing about learning about calories and portion sizes is being calorie aware. That's what really, really helps when you learn about this stuff and practice these habits. But if you can get to the point where you can have a little bit of chocolate in the house, be able to have some and then put the rest of the packet back, that's a game changer when it comes to eating everything in moderation. So I really like these individually wrapped bars of chocolate to give us a sweet treat in the evening without us feeling like we're going to eat the whole big sharing bag. The other sweet treats that I like, well, this isn't sweet, but other foods that you might not expect a personal trainer to eat, Discos. So these are like my favourite crisps ever. But I always get a multi-bag of crisps, multi-pack of crisps, because I love crisps, and I wouldn't say they're a filling snack, I wouldn't say they're a nutritious snack, I just really like them, and I really like to have a bag with my lunch, and I tend to add it to my lunch, but sometimes I will eat it at like 11 if I'm feeling that bit hunger pang and I'm like, oh, I really want some food, but I don't want to have my lunch yet, I'll have my crisps. But I pretty much have a bag of crisps every day. These are 133 calories, so they're not huge. I always go for like 100 to 150 calorie bags of crisps. Don't get me wrong, I love a bag of McCoys, they're about 200 and something calories, but I'd rather just have a small portion of my calories dedicated to something like this. It like satisfies my craving basically, and the fact that they're small bags, again, if I was going to have more, I'd have to make that conscious decision to go and open another bag, which again, happens very occasionally, but really not very often at all. So yeah, I do like, rather than deprive myself of crisps, I'd rather allow myself a little bit of moderation. Other things that I really like are, and I've got a little funny story for you now, meringue nests. So again, a sweet treat in the evening. I really like a yogurt, like a sort of yogurt bowl for dessert. I'm definitely one of those people that like something sweet in the evening. So a yogurt bowl is a really good option for me because I get a bit more protein in, and then if I add a bit of fruit, and in this case a meringue nest, that's like a little homemade eaten mess. I find that really satisfies my craving for a dessert. I've got some protein in, and a meringue nest is like 50 calories. So in terms of calorie content, it's really, you get a really good bang for your buck. I find it really satisfying. I haven't added loads of calories there. Funny story though, these are great meringue nests by the way, Tesco's finest. They're really chewy and nice. I was so positive that I ordered them last week in the food shop, but they weren't in the cupboard, and I was saying to my husband, like, where are the meringue nests? I'm sure I ordered some. We decided we had probably not ordered them, just thought about it. And then today, I found the meringue nests from last week in the shopping bag in the car, so I'd obviously forgotten about them. Maybe because they're white, they'd like blended into the colour of the bag. So I have 2 boxes of meringue nests. These ones are very crushed though. They've obviously been thrown around in the car. But you know, perfect for my eaten mess. So there we go, I've got meringues to last me forever now. Other little things I wanted to mention, again, diet drinks. This is something that me and my husband really like having in the house. Not even because, like, when I'm basically trying to be in a calorie deficit, a diet drink is a really, really handy option to have because it fills you up without any calories at all. So I find them really handy if you're in a calorie deficit, so you're trying to lose body fat, which by the way, I always promote as a phase, not as your lifestyle. It's something that you might do for a period of time. There's more content to come on that. But having a diet drink available in the fridge, and I'm not saying drink them all day, every day, but like one a day is not going to impact your health no matter what the scaremongering headlines you might have seen say. 1 can of diet drink a day is not going to have an adverse effect on your health. And basically what it can do is really satisfy a craving. So if you're in between meals and you think, oh, I'm watching my calories, I'm trying to be in a calorie deficit, but I'm actually quite hungry, or I just really fancy some food, which, you know, we've all been there. A diet drink can really like curb that craving, curb that feeling of hunger, and actually, because essentially a drink fills you up, it fills your belly for a certain amount of time. And obviously the sparklingness, the gas in a sparkling drink helps fill you up as well. So in terms of like consistency and adherence to your calories, a diet drink's really handy. Actually, I'm not in a calorie deficit at the moment, but I just really like having a little diet drink available. I don't have one every day, but I have one when I fancy it. So I do tend to buy, and I tend to buy 7-Up as well because I think at least it's clear and it's not going to stain my teeth. Don't get me wrong, I do understand that like sweeteners and things like that, they're not like the best things for your teeth, but again, I'm not drinking them to excess. I'm drinking one every couple of days, so it is basically everything in moderation. And then just to round up other things that I probably should mention that we have every week, always have some frozen berries in the freezer. I really like them with breakfast or pudding. I will stock up on loads of fruit. We've got apples, oranges, bananas, grapes here. This won't last us a week, by the way. There's only 3 of us in this household, 2 adults, 1 small child. But the amount of fruit we go through, I'm sure lots of you will relate to this, does seem a bit crazy. But I guess that's just how it is. And we always say, like, if we're like going over on our fruit intake, as in we're having more fruit than we buy initially, it's not really a bad thing. That's the kind of food I don't mind topping up on later in the week. And then also, I thought I'd just mention a few of the meals. I probably was meant to do this earlier. A few of the meals I got planned for this week. So today's Thursday, we're going to have the lazy ramen. Tomorrow, Friday, I've planned those fish fingers with potato wedges, beans and peas. Really nice and easy. As you can tell, I have a small child, so that's kind of sounds like a child's meal, but these are like adult sized fish fingers, so we'll definitely be satisfied. Saturday, I've planned sausage and mash. Again, with the chicken sausages, I've got potatoes, I've got some gravy, I might have the broccoli or the green beans to go with that. Sunday, I'm actually going to make a slow cooker chicken and peanut curry. I'll show you now. This cookbook, which is, in fact, I'll come up closer to the camera. There we go, that's what it is. The board of lunch slow cooker. It's called the Healthy Slow Cooker book. There's so many good recipes in there. You might follow him on Instagram, that's where I originally found him. So many good, he's called Board of Lunch. So many good recipes in there, and one of them I've tried before, which is a chicken and peanut curry. Last weekend we actually had a really busy Sunday, so I did a slow cooker curry for the evening, and I just thought, oh, it's actually really nice to have a slow cooker, so I thought I'll do that again this weekend. I might change it to Saturday, depends what our plans are, but I thought I'll do a slow cooker over the weekend. So for that I've got, the ingredients for that, some rice, some coconut milk, some peanut butter, the chicken, spring onions, a few more veggies. Then I've got hake for Monday. It's only me and my son on Monday because my husband's away for a few days, so I bought some hake. And I'm going to do, there's a Jamie Oliver recipe called 1 Pan Fish, which I've made so many times. That's what's great about trying a few new recipes that you then find easy and quick and that you can have on a regular basis. They just become part of your repertoire. We actually haven't had 1 Pan Fish for ages, but I thought, oh, I think I'll cook it for me and my son. And that is just hake, well, it's any sort of white fish with rice. They use olive tapenade, which is really tasty, but we actually have some pesto in the fridge, and I thought pesto works just as well. Basil, tomatoes, really nice and simple. And then I'm going to have my ready meal on Tuesday, and I've got a ready meal in the freezer that I'm going to have on Wednesday. So I'll actually have 2 ready meals next week thinking about it, because I do have 2 long working days where I'm like childcare. I've got my son on my own as well, so I have to pick him up and everything like that. So that is basically a summary of my week. Also here is fruit and fibre. I'm also not a personal trainer who poo-poos cereal, because I love a bit of cereal, and actually me and my husband love quite bland cereal, so this is just fruit and fibre. I really like it with my breakfast. I love to have a crunch. I think that's why I like the crisps as well. I love to have a crunch, and so having a bowl with some high protein yogurt, some berries, some cereal, might have a little bit of peanut butter on there. Yeah, that tends to satisfy me in the morning. So yeah, I've basically talked about everything I've got here. The only things I hadn't mentioned was I've got a loaf of bread, I've got sweet potatoes, new potatoes, I also have some cream crackers and fruit bars for my son. I just always have them in the cupboard just in case. But that's pretty much everything. Like I said, the only things I've really forgotten are eggs this week, so and my extra yogurt. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I do hope that you enjoyed this food shop discussion, and if you've got any questions, just comment below, because maybe I can share a few other tips about what I do. Maybe I can do a whole video on planning my food and doing my food order. In fact, that is something I'm going to do with my clients soon, is we're going to sit down and do like a food planning session together, because it really doesn't have to be complicated. How you plan your food, how you do a food shop, it should be a repeatable process that you can do every single week. That's how you stay on top of planning a good nourishing diet, planning healthy meals, including a few snacks and treats that mean you can have everything in moderation. It helps you stick to eating well, helps you eat enough protein, enough veggies. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be consistent enough for you. Me again. I really hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. Like I said at the beginning, if you would comment any of your thoughts below, that would be amazing. If you'd like to see more content like this, let me know and I'll add it to my list. But thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you at the next video too. Thanks guys, bye.